Get the brooms out because it was a sweep in Sin City last night. The Vegas Golden Knights sweep the President Trophy winners. The Colorado Avalanche go down in 4. We can talk about injuries. We can talk about bounces. But when it comes down to it, the Vegas Golden Knights were the better team and the better team for 4 straight games. Speaking of 4, it is game 4 tonight in Montreal as they take on the Carolina Hurricanes. They lost game 3, 2-1 in overtime by the exact same score as they did in game 2 in overtime at 3-2. Unbelievable experience for me being in the building. We'll talk more about the game in a few moments, but great stuff there in game 3. A big travel day, 24-hour travel for me, back in the saddle and ready to roll here with more action. But Carm, good morning. Good to see you. Happy not to have missed too much puck time, but when you fly in, fly out, it's a little bit hard. You're a little bit tired. So feeling good today after a lot of sleep.
Good. Refresh yourself. Get ready for a game 4 tonight, whether you're watching it at home or out with your buddies. And that goes for all of you guys live in the chat right now. Andrew, obviously a big game 4, but before we get there, man, let's talk about what went wrong. The Colorado Avalanche and the Vegas Golden Knights. And it could be as simple as the Knights were just better than Colorado. Or do you think this is another one of those when the Knights won the Stanley Cup 3 years ago, where it's basically too many injuries on Colorado? They were still in the lineup. Cale Makar didn't look like himself. I don't think McInnis quite looked like himself as well either. And the news always comes afterwards. We hear everything after the series is over. But what do you think went wrong here? Is just the desire of one team that has just gotten better under the Italian coach. Yes, the Italian coach, John Tortorella. I'm going to go to the store today and buy some tortellini. It's not tortorella, it's tortellini. I'm craving some Italian food today. But Torts, the man, the legend, the myth, he is there. And he's got his team in the Stanley Cup Finals. And before I ask you what went wrong with them, Mitch Marner. Yes, Mitch Marner. I could not be happier for a guy making the move from Toronto to Vegas. Even though I think he was held off the score sheet yesterday, still almost averaging a point a game in the playoffs. And kudos to him, man. He's in the Stanley Cup Finals. He's surrounded by a team that plays as a team. Good goaltending. The defense did their jobs. The forwards back-checked. Maybe I'm answering the question for you, what went wrong. But I'm happy that Mitch Marner is in the Stanley Cup Finals. I get it. They said he underperformed in Toronto in the playoffs. You can take that for what it's worth. I think he deserved a little bit better. I think everyone, the whole team should shoulder the blame, just like the whole team. It's not Mitch Marner that got the Vegas Golden Knights to the Stanley Cup. It is the whole team that got them to the Stanley Cup, and how they perform, we shall see. It is just he left what was toxic here in the Great White North to go to Vegas, and it's worked out for him so far, Andrew.
Oh, it really has. It really has. And, he's taken a little bit of a shot for at the Maple Leafs when he said, oh, we don't get down on each other. We don't turn on each other. He had to sneak that in a couple games ago. But, I think that they play well as a team. There's no panic there. But there's all kinds of guys that the old Bill Belichick statement, Carm, just do your job. And they all do their job. The defensive defensemen, they stay back. Carter Hart, he was fantastic. You've got the bottom 6 guys. They penalty kill. They play defense. They block shots. They get the puck in deep. But when you look at Dorofeyev and the Brett Howden, the playoff that he's had, as George says here in the live chat, adding Dowd was huge for Vegas, a great depth player. Mark Stone comes back. He gets 2 goals in 2 games. And Carm, your old pal in Buffalo there, Jack Eichel, probably one of the best 200-foot players in the league. I mean, the guy is known for offense, but he is a fantastic defensive player. And you know what? When you look at him, I think he won 4 of his last 5 faceoffs to end the game as well. Faceoffs, obviously, an under-talked about part of the game. So that was great. Now let's go to the Avalanche, because I'm a fan of McInnis. I'll be the first one to say, yeah, he got injured blocking a shot. Should you block a shot if you're a star player? Well, You want to prove to yourself that in your team you should. And then after that, he comes back. He had like one shot. Yesterday, I think he had like 2 shots. They weren't good enough. Brock Nelson, the guy that they picked up in a huge move, I thought that he was really underperforming throughout the entire playoffs. Like the guy was plus 130 at one point, Carm, when you and I were doing puck time during the winter. He was like plus 130 every night to score a goal, plus 115. I think at one point it got so low it was plus 110. That's how many times he was scoring. And he turned into a ghost. Marty Necas had 1 goal in the playoffs. 1 goal. Do you think Mikko Rantanen would have had more than 1 goal if he still played for Colorado? Probably would. So we can look at the top guys. We can look at the bottom guys. But when it comes down to it, they were better. The Vegas Golden Knights were just the better team. Here's my thing, and I hope you remember me saying this. I'm not doing the pat on the back thing, but this team changed their goalie, Carm, after they lost 1 game against the Minnesota Wild. You and I both know when you change your goalie, it sparks your team, but also it could ensue some panic. What do you think about that? You change your goalie. How can you be the President's Trophy winners and change your goalie 3 times in the playoffs? And you know, I feel for Blackwood because he played so well yesterday and they lose 2-1.
Yeah. I feel bad for him too. Just because the way he played in game 4, you wonder if they had actually gone to him earlier in the series and just stuck with him, if it would have been a different outcome. I'm not entirely sure. Andrew, I got to put this up there. I thought this was funny. I saw this one on the X yesterday, but apparently this was the night before the game. Bednar sitting at a open-faced pie gow table in Vegas playing some cards. You're down 3-0 in a series. A massive win or go home, and boom, there you go. The guy is sitting at a table. Maybe this is how you blow off steam, lose some money at the tables or win some money. But if you're how would you feel if you're a fan of a team and you see your coach the night before a game? And I assume in context, this was stated by a few people that this was the night before the game. So I'm going off of that. But what would you think, Andrew? And I'll bring you back in here. If that was, if you're a fan of the team, of the Montreal Canadiens, and you see that before tonight's big game 4 in Montreal, that Casino Montreal, Marty St. Louis is sitting there playing high stakes poker or something.
I like Seth's comment here. Do you want him to just order room service and watch the reruns of The Sopranos?
Yes.
Because
yes,
you know, I think sometimes the way you can look at it is get your mind off things, right? Like Seth, I don't know if you saw the media thing with Marty St. Louis against Tampa Bay, but he said he likes to watch Seinfeld. And I think Carmine actually brought that up on the show to keep his mind off. But the only shitty thing is, Carm, I don't have any problem with him playing blackjack, but I have a problem with him, or pie guy, whatever. I have a problem with the fact that we have to talk about it right now because of social media. Like back in the day when you were younger, this would never even be talked about. Like, you know, there were like, let's be honest though, there were players that you know, who was the guy? I can't remember. I don't know why it's slipping my mind right now, on the Chicago Bulls that literally would take a flight somewhere else between games. Dennis, I can't remember Rodman? His name. What's his name? Rodman. Yeah, Rodman.
Dennis Rodman. Yeah.
Like, so imagine if social media was a thing, though, Carl. Imagine if Twitter was a thing when Dennis Rodman was playing.
Well, Dennis Rodman's not human. He's an alien entity. But Andrew, and some of the old guys, whether you're watching right now, some of the old guys or some of the guys watching this video a little later on, you know, I grew up in an era where, Andrew, where there was no social media. You were kids, you went outside, you played street hockey. The net was a couple bricks. The goalie pads were foam couch insulation that you cut the foam in half and then you used a piece of string to tie the foam to each leg, and those were your goalie pads. That's the era I grew up in. I was a kid, born in the late 60s, and did this in the late 70s. But there's no social media. There's no cell phones. There was none of that stuff. If we were running late as teenagers, you know what we did, Andrew? Do you know what a payphone is? Have you ever seen a payphone?
Yes.
You're young. All right. We would call home on a payphone, but because you had no money on you, you would collect call, but it would record your name. So I would record, basically it would be like at the sound of the tone, record your name. I'd be like, it's Carm, I'm on my way home. I'll be home in 5 minutes. Click. And then they answer on the other side, collect call from Carmine. And then all they hear is, it's Carm. I'm 5 minutes away from home. And then you hung up. You know what I mean? Your voice signature was actually your message to your parents that you're on the way home, or you got the belt. But that's punishment of a different nature. So with that said, times have changed. But I love these stories because I still remember them. So that is pretty much collect call from Dad. I'm on my way home. Exactly, Seth. Andrew, let's talk about this game here. You guys were at the game, and it looks like you guys had a hell of a good time. I kind of gave Buster a hard time. I just love giving Buster a hard time. I'm going to see him in the coming week, either later this week or next week. We're going to get together, grab a bite to eat. But Buster's a good dude. I was cheering for you guys. I was hoping you guys would experience a home win, but the Bell Center must have been rocking.
It was unbelievable, man. I'll tell you, as you know, because you get after me being late coming into the show, and as anybody in my life knows, I'm not really early for things. That was one of those things where I said to Buster, we're going to go out before the game. We're going to go grab a beer. We're going to go out for dinner, and we're going to get there early. I was at the arena with Buster before the warm-ups even started. Like, we got in, and Buster, I can't thank him enough, hooked us up with some great tickets. And we got to watch the Canadiens shoot twice, albeit they barely even shot the puck, as you'll tell us. But just the environment was crazy. And for them to give up that first goal, it was tough. And the crowd pop when Matheson scored that second goal, I'll never forget it. And, as bad as they played, Carm, if Caulfield's skate if he was a size 11 and not a size 6, he would still be onside and they win that game. But it's funny, you know how when you're watching at home and you know right away they're telling you what's going on and why that the goal's being called back. When you're watching in person, you don't really know what's going on. So the crowd went crazy for the third goal. It was something I'll never forget. And then 2 minutes later, it's like a library in there. People are so disappointed. But tough game to watch, but tough game to see them lose, I should say, because it was still a great game to watch. But conference finals, Bell Center, playoff game. I'll never forget that for sure.
Andrew, technology nowadays has developed so much that we just hope that they get the call right each and every time. With video review or what have you. And all it's done is everyone said, or most people thought, with technology coming in, we're going to get the call right because that should have been an offside. That shouldn't have been a goal. That could have been interference. But all technology has done is eliminated those questions or those arguments and created a whole new one, right? Like, I think he had control of the puck as he went over the line. For the Montreal one, we see it in soccer. Come on, it was just the guy's big toe that was offside. How is that any advantage? Right? The rule is the rule, and we have to live by it. But it's going to get better. Anyways, speaking of getting better, does it get better for the Montreal Canadiens tonight? Andrew, minus 151 on the Canes, plus 124 in Montreal. 5.5 is the total in this one. Give me your thoughts.
Well, they gotta start with a goal early. I mean, it's funny, Carm. They have a goal in the first period in 15 of the 17 games this playoffs. but a lot of those goals have not been the first goal of the game. I think you have to get a goal early on here. I remember thinking back to the Pittsburgh versus Philadelphia series, and I know that seems like so long ago, and people might think, why am I bringing that up? When we talked about that, I kept on telling people that it was Philadelphia and under and Pittsburgh and over correlation. Philadelphia ended up dominating that series, but a lot of the games that they won, of course, were unders. The Hurricanes, the one thing I can feel good about, Carm, as a Canadiens fan, is that they can put up 30 shots, 38 shots, 39 shots, whatever, and their execution, even though Dobish has been good, they still won back-to-back games with only 4 goals in regulation time. So I think the Canadiens, they have to come out and play their game. The pond hockey, we saw it in game 1. I know there was an 11-game day rest for Carolina. I think pond hockey benefits Montreal, and lower scoring that benefits Carolina. We've seen now back-to-back unders, but I still think even though we saw a game that finished 3-2, but I think that we both know, Carmen, I'll say some good things about the Habs, but that game could have been 5-3 Carolina, could have been 5-2 Carolina. I think we could see some goals tonight. I think after 2 games of squeezing your stick a little bit tight, feeling a bit worried about how you're going to play and, being tight in your own end and maybe one too many passes. I think the Canadiens fire more shots, and I think the Carolina Hurricanes can execute more here. So I think maybe over. And the first period over, Carm, look, in this series alone, the first period over has looked rock solid. And in the playoffs altogether for both these teams, first period over has been pretty good. I see a lot more goals in this one. So I know that you're going to be the one that will tell me the reality of, the outshots, that how many shots, the possession, and all that stuff. But let me ask you one question. If somebody was running a Carolina Hurricanes post-game show and they were talking about that game and game 2 as well, are you feeling great because you dominated the game, or are you worried that there was a little bit of a problem as Carm covers my face for his promo code?
Oops.
But are you worried?
Sorry.
Are you worried that they lose? They only win 3-2, even though they dominate so much?
This is one of the things, I talked to Brian Leonard about, or Brian Leonard and I discussed on Tuesday's show with Montreal when we were recapping the Monday game. Listen, the Canadiens are playing well. It just, and I mentioned it to you as well too. This just kind of reminds me of the Carey Price Montreal Canadiens, where he just stood on his head, played extremely well, figuratively speaking, and not literally. Stood on his head. But Jakub Dobiš is playing so well right now. He's just not getting the output from the team in scoring goals. 12 shots in game 2, 13 shots in game 3. It's not going to cut it. They did beat the Tampa Bay Lightning in game 7, where they only had 9 shots on goal. So maybe they believe that that's something that works, is keep them off the board and will eventually score. But if you don't eventually score, or you don't get to 3, it seems like whoever gets to 3 in this series is going to win thus far. And I think all you've needed in the first 3 games of this series is 3 goals to win. The Canadiens got that first game 1 win 6-2. A lot of people thought it was because of the sort of the rest and rust thing, 12 days off. That was the only game where Freddie Anderson's allowed more than 2 goals. He's allowed 2 goals or less in 10 of 11 games. So Montreal's going to have to get at it in this one. Andrew, they're going to have to get more shots on goal, but I don't think they need to sacrifice defense in order to get there. Nor would you want them to sacrifice defense in order to get there, because they've been in both games. The series could be 3-0 for Montreal with the right bounces in overtime. So this is where we're at right now. It is such a weird series. We know we're going to see a game 5, and I think we could see a game 6 as well too. So with that said, to your point of the over, I thought the Monday game could be like that, and got some goals early. Halfway through the second period, I think it was 2-2, and I had over 5.5. I'm feeling good because any one goal from any team is at least going to give me the opportunity of an empty net at the end of the game. I don't bet games hoping for empty net goals. I bet them because the analytic numbers suggest that there should be more scoring in the game. And for half the game, there was. But then these teams locked it down. Montreal locked down Carolina, didn't give them anything the rest of the way, as did the goaltending. So Freddie Anderson and Dobish have been great in this series, Andrew. So we shall see tonight. But maybe tonight's the game where we see some goals.
I don't think Anderson is as good as people think he is. I truly don't. And you look at across the career, you put a lot of goalies. You're going to think I'm nuts for saying this. Everybody hates Alex Lyon or UPL. You put some of those guys behind this Hurricanes defense, maybe they look better too. Freddie Anderson, I know he's a good goalie, but his save percentage, maybe he's not facing enough shots that he gets rusty throughout the game. He's only facing like 13 shots a game, but you get shots on net on this guy, he might let in a bad one. In game 1, after every shot he faced, he was looking behind him. He was nervous, thinking he got scored on. They got to put some shots on goal. But I also think, because you're an analytics guy, I'm sick and tired of people, and I'm happy you said it, and I respect it, because I know the Habs got outplayed, but I'm sick and tired of people talking about the shots on goal argument. Because you know what? We like to have some fun about Maple Leafs. The Maple Leafs probably won the shots on goal battle the last 9 years they were in the playoffs. Shots on goal doesn't always mean you deserve to win a game. And like, as you mentioned, if you flip a coin in overtime, Carolina could be down 2-1 in this series, or 3-0.
Yeah. No, and this is the point I'm trying to make. So, the thing is, and talking about Freddie's done well with what he's had to face. But the thing about getting more pucks at the net is kind of like what you said. Kind of like in game 1, in period 1, the Montreal Canadiens came out firing on all cylinders. The Canes were flat, and before you knew it, it was 4-1 in the first period, and it was game over. Anderson's only had to face 12 shots in one game, 13 in game 3, and how many of those are quality chances? Maybe a third of those are quality chances. So he's had to do the bare minimum for the Canes in the last couple of games. The key to Montreal winning tonight is get the puck on goal, and let's test Freddie Anderson and see if he's as good as people are saying he is, including that guy from PuckTime, Carmine Bianco. Let's fire 25 or 30 at him. I think the shot props, I think, for tonight are 20.5 or 21.5 for Freddie Anderson. So I think they're expecting, I think the saves props. Yeah. So I think they're expecting Montreal, hopefully, to get more shots on goal. We'll see but to your point, absolutely agree with you that regardless of scoring a goal in the first period, they need to get the first goal and sort of dictate the pace of the game. I would love a 4-1 first period.
Let's do it. I like this comment here from George.
If I'm betting the over, so.
A comment here from George says Habs need to give Gallagher a spot tonight. And look, I agree with that. People will say, well, the speed of Hurricanes, it'd be too much for him. But this is my argument, Carm. If you're going to give a guy like Kirby Dach or Joe Veleno or one of these fourth line players, right? If you're going to give one of them 5 minutes a game, 6 minutes a game, give those minutes to this guy. Because it's not like you're offering him 12, 13 minutes of ice time. Yeah, he's older. Yeah, he doesn't have those legs he used to have. But he's going to crash the net. He's going to bring some energy. He's going to do everything. He bleeds the logo. And, when you think about scoring crappy goals, when you think about scoring goal, I think It might have. It's probably been 15 years since Brendan Gallagher has scored a nice goal. Okay, this guy is known for the garbage goals around the net, crash. And let's not forget, it's been so long on the show, and I haven't brought this up. And Carm, I hope you agree with me on this. You should not be able to crash into a goalie. Your player sticks up for you a little bit, and it ends up being 4-on-4. You can't. Or else everybody will just start crashing into the other team's goalie, and it's going to be 4-on-4 after that. So if there's one guy on the Canadiens that will crash into their goalie, I think it's Brendan Gallagher. So I think they should make some changes as well. But at the end of the day, I think that goals and over correlate a bit with the Habs bounce back. I don't have a graphic for you guys today with player props, but if you want shot props, there's two guys you should be looking at when it comes to the Carolina Hurricanes. The first one is Logan Stankoven. Buster and I looked at him the other game, and he started off quiet, but he picked it up at the end. You can get over 2.5 for him at -110, and you can get Aho over 2.5 at +105. Now, there's 2 point props I like for the Habs because I'm sure as hell not taking shot props when it comes to Montreal right now because they're barely shooting it themselves. I'm going to look at an assist prop for Uri Slafkovsky. You can get him as an assist at +115. And go back to the well with Demidov for a point. It's -120. Look, if you want to get Suzuki or Caulfield or these guys, Carm, he's like Suzuki for a point is like -200. I can't be laying that, right? But Demidov for the second line is only -120 for a point. He's on the power play as well. So I like those. And if you want to play the Hurricanes, you play shot props. If you want to play the Habs, sprinkle on some point props because this team, they've shot 12 and 13 times. And I'm not going to bet shot props with a team that's barely shooting it, but I'll go ahead and look at point props in the process.
Okay. To your point of before I get to the pod play, and the pod play is mind-blowing pod play, so we're not going to put that up yet. Okay. Because the odds are phenomenal on this one. But to your point of like the running of the goalies, it's definitely a penalty. I think if the player wasn't on the ice and the Montreal defenseman went after him, against the boards or what have you, he doesn't get called for a penalty. I think the fact that he's laying on the ground, and I didn't think it was that big a shove, Andrew, like a cross check, I think they called on him. But I believe that like head and helmet hit the ground, and that's why the ref calls the penalty because the whole head injury thing. If his head does not hit the ground, if his helmet does not hit the ground or the ice, there is no penalty there at all. He's just defending his goalie, and the ref probably goes to him quickly, pulls him off, and says, "I'm going to even this up unless you get off of him," and leave it at that. Yeah. And you got to protect your goalies.
Isn't it a
you
bad
got to protect your goalies, especially Dobish, who's been phenomenal. You got to protect the guy.
Wouldn't it be a bad look, to your point, if nobody came in and did anything? The Montreal media would say, "Are you not going to stick up for your goalie?" And then they stick up for their goalie, and it's a 4-on-4. So, I mean, if your goalie gets run over, are you supposed to just stand around?
No,
you can't stand around.
Let me ask you one more question before I get to the pod play, and we'll talk about what is going on over at Wager Talk. As a okay, you're a Montreal fan. We already know that. But I am asking you to answer this as a hockey capper.
Okay.
Would you look at this game tonight and say, this is effectively an elimination game for the Montreal Canadiens? If they lose here, they're not going to win 3 straight against Carolina, and this series is over. Would you look at it that way?
100%. I do look at that because the only thing is, Carmen, I think they're now 2-5 at home in the playoffs, which is crazy. They've been better on the road, but we know
have the Sabre syndrome.
Yes, but we know how good they've been on the road, but we also know how good Carolina can be at home. If they win tonight, they give themselves at least an opportunity to come back to Montreal. You know, that's the way I kind of look at it. Is like you give yourself an opportunity to, if it's 2-2, you go ahead and you split. Excuse me, you get one win back in Carolina. Let's say they win in Carolina, you still get to come back to Montreal, right? If you don't win tonight, then they could close it out in Carolina. And I know people would laugh and say, well, the Habs have been better on the road. But at the end of the day, you want to guarantee yourself one more home game. And that's what they do here if they win tonight. So when you say it's a must win, and if we put the handicapper hat on here, Carm, I think that benefits the over. If the Habs are down 3-1 in the third period, they're pulling the goalie. Their defensemen are all going to be activated.
7 minutes of empty net time in this game. And that's why if you're live betting this, and I apologize for cutting you off, Andrew. That's why if you're live betting this, you can't wait till there's 2-3 minutes left in, let's say, a 3-1 game. Because most books will take that price down knowing that an early goalie pull is coming. So you have to sort of anticipate that 3-1. Okay, I'm going to bet the total and the over 5 or 5.5, whatever it is, with about 7.5 minutes left or 8 minutes left, and hope that at the 7-minute mark, the goalie does get yanked. And you might actually get 2 empty net goals, because I've seen teams down 3 goals and they still pull their goalie. So
remember this year, Carm? I don't know if you remember, I cashed a 5% team total, and I got 2 empty net goals. It was 2-0 the whole game, and I was like, I should have just bet the money line, and they got 2 empty net goals. So you never know. But here's what I'm going to say, and let me be a fan for a second, because, well, I'm a fan the whole show. But people say, like, go down swinging, right? Like, just be who you're going to be. And sometimes if you're going to lose, go out at least playing your game. Do you agree with me a little bit in the premise that pond hockey benefits the Habs? Like if you said, let's roll out the pucks and let's play end-to-end hockey versus this suffocating defensive, low scoring, that's what the Hurricanes are so good at. Do you agree that, I know you said don't sacrifice defense for offense, but at the end of the day, if they're on a 2-on-1, take the shot. Don't try and pass it around or hold on to it, because we don't know how many chances the Habs are going to get. Do you think that there is that correlation of the over and the Habs? And if you told me the score was 3-1 again tonight, it probably means the Hurricanes won.
Yeah, I definitely can see it. I think, I can't even go back to the sort of the tried, tested and true thing of the first period can really dictate how the rest of the game is going to be played, because the first period in the last game and even half of the second period looked like the over was the right play. And then the game just died after that and eventually goes to overtime. So, like during the regular season, we always talked about, and you made a point, very good point of it. When I liked the under, you liked the over in the first period. Like we could see some goals in the first, and then the game just dies down. And that did happen quite a few times, but it's carried over to the playoffs. So we shall see. The big thing for the Montreal Canadiens is if they're not getting enough shots on goal right now, and shots isn't a big metric. When I'm putting together plays, I may mention shots, but I tell you that I think the 3 bigger ones that I use obviously are expected goals, how it's been trending for the last few games between them, high danger chances, scoring chances for. You want to see how many attempts a team is at least trying to get the puck at the net. The Montreal Canadiens have done a phenomenal job, as the Vegas Golden Knights have, of blocking pucks. And you just help your goalie that way. These guys are going to be bruised and battered at the end of the Stanley Cup Finals, but it's for a good cause. It is to win a cup. You lay it on the line. They don't do that in the last week of the season when you're going to Aruba or Cancun or whatever, because you've been eliminated from the playoffs. But that's the mark of a team, and they've been very good. And Dobish hasn't really had. Has he had? Maybe you can answer this, because I can't answer this, but I think the answer is no. Has he had a bad complete 60 minutes thus far in the playoffs? Because I don't think
I
he
think
has. I know that the Sabres did score some goals on him.
Yeah, I think the only
the
bad one was
game,
probably Game 6 against the Sabres, but the team didn't kind of let him down as well. But and I wouldn't even say against Tampa Bay they had too many tough ones, because a lot of remember against Tampa Bay every game was close, 2-1, 3-2. They were all 1-goal games. So we'll see. But yeah, you're right, and I that's what I'm very curious about, is because the thing is that the Hurricanes could very well come out in this game tonight and they could win 5-1, because they have probably deserved a lot more in every game, but they haven't been able to get it. Now, the Montreal Canadiens, as I said, forced overtime both games. They could have won one of those, and all of a sudden, this series is looking different right now. But I'm very curious of how the pace goes in this one, and what type of flow we see. But I'm looking for some goals in this one. I'm going to have some props in this one, Carmen. It'll all be up at Wager Talk. But before we get to more, what do you have for us for your play of the day? I don't have a graphic with props, so I think you decided to say, hey, I got a graphic with some props. What do you have for us?
Yeah. And just before we pop that up there, I just want to mention a few things. So I filmed some videos yesterday, soccer videos with Kelly for novice bettors, because with the World Cup here, there are so many mistakes that people can make if you're not used to betting soccer. Watch the videos I explain, and we put up some graphics on the proper ways to understand the betting lines, because there's split lines, Asian lines. There are a ton of different things, and games are always, whether it is the group stages or the knockout stages, are always decided or graded by your books on 90 minutes plus injury time. So sometimes in the knockout stages, a team goes into extra time, scores a couple goals, and people think I won, only to find out that their bet was graded a loss, and rightfully so. So those videos are up. My guide for the World Cup, 20 pages, is available on my page at wt.buzz/CB, as is the World Cup package for $149. Tonight's NHL 5% play, that if you use save 10 will get you $10 off. You see that on the bottom there. And then finally, on Saturday, Arsenal and Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League final from Budapest, Hungary. This is going to be a phenomenal game. The two very good informed teams. And for 7 years, this is the 7th year I've done this. I do customer appreciation, but I do it for $1. So you get the play and a bunch of props, which I will load on Thursday for that game, for basically for $1. And we've hit some good props. Penalty, Liverpool to score a goal, plus 600 via penalty. Exact score 2-0, exact score 1-0. We've hit some big plus money props as well too. So you can take advantage of that over at Wager Talk, and it's $1, less than a Dunkin' Donuts or a Tim Hortons coffee. Now, what you're all here for, the pod. Look at the price of this one. Andrew, pop it up there for me. Plus 475. All right, so let me explain this one. This is Seth Jarvis to register the most shots on goal tonight between the two teams combined. Obviously, games 1 and 2, Jarvis led the Canes in shots on goal. Montreal Canadiens have only had 12 and 13 shots in their last couple of games. If that carries over to tonight and it's another low shot game for the Montreal Canadiens, then the shot leader is going to come from Carolina, and he's led the team in 2 of the 3 games thus far. He was held to 1 shot on goal in game 3, but I do feel like he could be a big part of at least the shots on goal here. I think they're going to fire a lot of pucks at Dobish again. Plus 475 if he ends up with the most shots on goal. And let me tell you, that would be a great bankroll builder play. So I am, kind of like Ted Lasso, the dart scene. If you've ever seen it, guys, barbecue sauce. I am going for bullseye. Barbecue sauce. I'm going for
good one.
The Seth Jarvis barbecue sauce.
Carm, I've got one more graphic for you. Bonne fête à toi, Jakob Dobish. Happy birthday. You know what that means. A birthday boy for Dobish. makes me feel a bit better. The guy's been playing phenomenal, but I don't know how much better he can play. But it's his birthday today, so we'll see how well the guy plays on his birthday. But maybe that helps me with the saves prop if we get in on the saves prop. And it helps you with the shots because, they're going to have to take a lot of shots tonight. It's just been announced, and I'm mad at this myself as a Canadiens fan. Not one change made by Marty St. Louis for tonight. No Gallagher, no Jack-Eye, no Kapanen, the same exact roster. I love the coach. I love what he brings, no panic, but I still think sometimes you have to insert at least one new player in the lineup after back-to-back losses, but he won't do so. Carmine, I'll throw this out there for me. At Wager Talk, guys, we got a 5% play going up Thursday in World Hockey Championship plays. I thought I'd be a little bit higher volume. 8-1 for me on the tournament. 8-1 on the tournament. The quarterfinals get going on Thursday. We've had a great read on this tournament, whether it be betting the lower teams, whether it be betting the higher teams, totals, sides, whatever it might be. Been pure dominance with these. I told you guys the Olympics, Four Nations, World Juniors. We were going to make some money with the World Hockey, and we went 8-1 during the preliminary round robin round. Now it's time to make some big money with a 5% play on Thursday, World Hockey Championships. CFL starts in 10 days. 10 days for CFL action. You guys can right now get all of my hockey picks, all of my CFL picks in one package up at Wager Talk. So, Carmen, I'm ready to transition from one sport over to the next and keep it going so you guys can get all my picks there in one package. There's 4 games a week. Usually they spread it out Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday for the start of the season. So you can get that at wagertalk.com. Also on a 5-0 MLB run. Hopefully number 6 goes today. And I've just got 1 4% hockey play up. So 1 4% hockey play, 1 3% MLB play. And that's going to be it for me at wagertalk.com today. So I didn't really have much yesterday. I had Oklahoma. You asked me yesterday on the phone, what do you have going tonight? And I said, Oklahoma City. What? They're not playing in hockey. And they got the job done for me. So rare NBA play for me, but back in action tonight.
Guys, don't let me remind you. I warned you guys. Go out there, get Andrew's World Hockey Championship package, or that deal where you got the rest of the NHL and the World Hockey CFL, whatever it was. But kudos to you, man. 8-1 is a phenomenal record. I have to think that if Prez was on today's show, guys, this run I am on, 8-1, you got to get my play. Maybe I'm not doing the voice particularly well, but God bless the Prez. I messaged him yesterday. What are you on tonight? He goes, I passed. So good for him. But with that said, Andrew, keep knocking it out of the ballpark. And happy birthday to your boy. Hopefully he doesn't take the night off and they start Fowler in nets because, he had too much birthday cake or it's weighing him down. Who knows what is happening is going to be. Regardless, it is going to be a fun game 4. The Eastern Conference Finals with the Vegas Golden Knights waiting for one of these two teams to come to face them at T-Mobile Arena. Guys, we appreciate you guys commenting, dropping likes, do so, and subscribe. Let's get us to 250,000 subscribers. We really appreciate you guys tuning in each and every day. It goes without saying. For myself and Andrew McInnis, we will be back, I guess, on Friday. Thursday will be an off day as we just, and we'll be back for Game 5 of this series. Guys, have a great day.